Very good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to the live futures session with myself, Giles Cockton. And we go your pick. Very good morning, good afternoon, Carolyn, Brett, Brian, O'Dare, Ryan. Good to see you, folks. Hey, Brett, Ryan. Hope everybody's doing well. That's good. Here we go again. Going to give folks 30 seconds or so to sign on in. Yeah, thank you. That's very good in England at the moment, Brett. Some of that, we've had some very hot weather recently. That's just pared down a bit. It's a bit better, so it's a bit more comfortable in my office, I'm pleased to say. I've had a bit of rain, which has been very welcome, and been pleased with the English Euros. Been watching some of the women's football at the semi-finals and got through to the finals. That was exciting last night. Quality's definitely improved in women's football, actually, so it's nice to watch. All right then, folks, let's get stuck into the session. Now, the calendar, very light. We got existing home sales, but really not very much.
Via Russian media, Russian delegation has arrived in Istanbul for talks regarding Ukraine.
The big news has been Trump's trade deal. We had, as I'm sure you've seen it all over financial media, a deal with Japan has been struck, Philippines deal and Indonesia deal. That's been rippling through markets, and you can see that equity markets are rallying higher. US equity futures higher, Europe nicely higher, just general move. Oh, just seen this nicely in the DAX. So we had that bullish piercing line pattern, providing decent support yesterday, just worth noting for us stock traders. That positive sentiment has flowed into the FX space. New Zealand, Australian dollar strength, and Swiss franc weakest alongside the euro. Now, euro's interesting right now. I'll tell you what's interesting about the euro is just saw a note that Germany, there's a government representative on the EU-US tariff talks, and Germany's up for this retaliatory countermeasure if a deal isn't hit on the 1st of August. And what Europe would need to do is use this instrument called the anti-coercion instrument. Now, it has to be voted on, but if Europe use it, they could retaliate against the US with new taxes on US tech giants. They could limit US investment, and they could limit access to the EU market. All right, so big there. And I'm just thinking out loud. We know Japan have just said they're going to buy 100 planes from Boeing. And I'm just thinking, you think of the US exports of Boeing to the European market, it's versus the US can be summed up a little bit with Boeing versus Airbus, right? The two big manufacturers, with Airbus European manufactured, Boeing US manufactured. So what on earth they're going to do with that is going to be very tricky. So even though we've got the optimism about these deals being struck, and that is lifting sentiment for now, in the background, we've got these concerns about the European retaliatory measures if there isn't a deal struck. And Germany is the powerhouse of Europe. It's the largest member state of the fragmented Eurozone group, which produces the most GDP. So, Germany taking the front foot on those retaliatory measures is significant. And it also means that, that the euro is in a bit of weakness today. So you've got euro, New Zealand dollar, a bit of a divergence going on, trade deal divergence. So just one little currency pair to look at on this narrative is that euro, New Zealand dollar short. Notice as well, we've got this trend line that's being broken. So this daily trend line is also kind of there's a weekly trend line here. Let's have a look. So, right, that's not a bad target down into this area here, right? So it's not unreasonable as a short. Should we get a close underneath this daily trend line here? So you got 1, 2, 3 touches. So that's pretty powerful here, right? So we're looking to go din, din, din. Let me just do that again. So it'd be retracement with a close underneath. Sorry, folks, should be able to use this tool without messing up, shouldn't I? So get up there. So that's what to look for, and stops just the other side of that pattern there. Now, obviously, if all of a sudden Europe do an amazing deal with Donald, then maybe not so good, right? But it is slightly asymmetric, because if Europe did do a good deal with the US, that should boost risk anyway, and that should allow the New Zealand dollar to strengthen. So that's one swing trade to look at in the currency space. Now, looking through markets, risk on profile.
Seeing a post here from US President Trump on Truth Social, says housing in our country is lagging because Fed Chair Jerome Too Late Powell refuses to lower interest rates. Says families are being hurt because interest rates are too high, and even our country is having to pay a higher rate than it should be because of too late. Says our rate should be 3 points lower than they are, saving us $1 trillion per year. This stubborn guy at the Fed does not get it, never did and never will. Says the board should act, but they do not have the courage to do so. So largely reiteration here from
Big pressure for Trump, isn't it, on Powell? God, it's amazing how quickly
reiterating rates should be 3 points lower.
Hey Najim, it's amazing how quickly a label sticks, right? Too late Powell, so there we go. Right, now commodities, iron ore still broadly supported, copper moving higher, gold pulling back, silver made just off the highs of the day, but pushing higher. Again, a lovely pennant. Yeah, I'll have a look at the Nikkei in a minute. Yeah, the dollar just sort of flat at the moment. There's no reason for potential weakness or strength, just waiting a fresh catalyst. Risk positive mood is lifting the Aussie and the New Zealand dollar. Euro's in a bit of a wait and see mode. So that's where we're at in terms of sentiment. Now, looking at some of we look at the Euro New Zealand dollar. Just want to look at that Euro pound yesterday. You remember we were looking at the potential longs off the break of that trend line, just saying that broke up very nicely intraday. Let's look at the Nikkei, obviously heavily influenced by the trade deal, and we can see that is just ripping up. Yeah, remember this is the area, I think around this time when looking at going along the Nikkei when Warren Buffett suddenly started getting very bullish on Japan. Yeah, it does look like it's making its way to the all-time high. I think a nice move on this, be looking for what am I doing, telling the flagman to look for a flag, but I think this is what I would be looking for here, is looking for a flag or a pennant to form. So just got all times, yeah, definitely. I think it's a test the all-time high for sure. And it's just, look at that, even that little tight move up. And this is these highs here, isn't it? Yeah, it does look like it wants to move up to the all-time high. So it's just a question of managing that risk, breaking out of that level, then looking at pullbacks. I mean, I wouldn't get in it here because it's just so stretched, but looking for pullbacks like this, basically like that. That's what I'll be looking for, Nikkei. Yeah, silver has hit that flag target with flagpole pullback breakout here on volume, hit target there. So job done with that, and looks like it wants to keep on breaking higher and make fresh highs. So 40, 41, 40 and then 41.50, a couple of targets to the upside for silver. I'm trying to go for all-time highs and maybe beyond. So I'm just been building into this for some time. Just reminded, I was just looking at the Bollinger Band breakout strategy. When you get 2 weeks above the high Bollinger Band, entering long on this breakout, and then holding about 20 weeks makes sense. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks down. So I'm maybe holding another sort of 2 months, 3 months, and see if we can get up all the way to those all-time highs. And ultimately, whether we want to break those all-time highs, I wouldn't be surprised if we do. So I'm happy to build into silver. And remember that very nice seasonal pattern we saw with silver, how July is one of the strongest months of the year. So really, we've had a good July in silver, and August tends to be positive as well, particularly that second half of August. So we've got a good couple of months of potential upside. Indian wedding season is touted often for the upside in silver and gold around this time of the year, and getting ready for Christmas orders. So July, August, particularly in gold, very strong. And gold, look at this, coming up to a nice strong period. We got 76% winning trade percentage, 28th of July, 31st of August, average return 2.08%. And if you look at, where is it? Yeah, look at gold in hedge funds. You can see that the hedge funds are building in longs again. And we're moving from a sort of an oversold kind of situation and moving higher with plenty of upside to go. So I think there's a lot of room for gold to move higher. And there's quite a lot of excitement technically that I'm reading, not technically, fundamentally that I'm reading. And technically, that is you can't deny that as a pretty decent pennant, really. Moving up, yeah. See if we can break out of this on the weekly chart. That would be crucial. Would want to see the on-balance volume, breaking higher. See, it's positive. So if we break above those highs, looks nice. Yeah, so that's gold. Copper as well. That pennant working out very nicely. Potential target is all the way up there. And copper just getting a boost now on the old, copper, it's used in everything. Wiring, housing, electric vehicles. And there is a big problem. I've looked at this a few times before in the past. It's a problem that's being touted a lot by those in the know, which is there's just not enough copper supply. Copper mines take about 10 to 15 years to get going. It's not a quick fix. And a lot of investors are just expecting this to be a very asymmetrical trade of upside in copper. So this flag pattern, look at the way it's broken out. This is clearly a very highly trending market. Definitely worth looking at. So that daily entry is not bad at all, really. It'll be interesting to see how we respond up at these highs, but for now the long remains. All right. So we're in the Fed's blackout period. There's not a lot going on. As usual, you've got to watch out for controversial comments from Trump. And obviously he's on to Jerome Powell and looking for interest rate cuts from the Fed next week, Fed in the blackout period. So taking a look at sentiment, let's have a look. So first of all, on the daily chart, we're trying to push up and trying to make fresh highs today. Sellers down there getting trapped. Nice rejection of that standard deviation. On the hourly chart, Globex opens with positive. You can see when the trade deal was announced, we've had positive data delta. That has weakened as of late. You saw buyers trapping sellers here. Price pulled back to the VWAP and just found some buyers. Now looking to the daily chart, we can see when we're opening up above yesterday's value, but we've headed up into the previous day's value area high. So we're in this sort of resistance level. On the hourly, any pullback to that 6.3 region, 6.360 is not unreasonable for longs. So if we can pull back to that sort of VWAP, that's suitable for longs. The balance going into the session is quite well balanced. There is a trend. The VWAP is really holding and hasn't really been tested yet. If we can break up and above this level, then there's no reason why we can't look at it.
Just getting commentary again from US President Trump on Truth Social now on Japan. It says Japan is for the first time ever opening its market to the US, even to cars, SUVs, trucks, and everything else, including eggs and rice.
Yeah, that was one of
the open market Japan may be as big as a profit factor as the tariffs themselves, but was only gotten because of the tariff power. They also agreed to buy billions of dollars worth of military and other equipment and give us 90% of $550 billion. So just Trump was going over that already agreed upon trade deal we saw overnight.
Yeah. So that's part of the condition for Japan to get that trade deal of 15% tariffs. They're going to buy planes, they're going to buy agricultural products, they're going to buy rice purchases can be boosted by 75%. So that's kind of the trade-off. And Trump's understandably doing a victory lap with that. It's great for the US economy, right? So that's boosting trade, really. So we're just looking as we come into the open at this big area. If we just look at the TPO, we can see that we're basically holding above the previous value area high. So we're opening bullish and markets trying to find balance and fair value up here. If we can push up above, got the R2 ahead, then up and away, then we could look for even more highs. And that's basically what I'll be looking for as we come into the session. Although the on-balance volume has moved negative, you can see it's broadly been higher. So we'll see. But for now, we're just in this sort of resistance area. Up and above and through, then we can look for more upside. But just notice that Delta is just weakening, but we are still positive from the Globex Open. So let's look at this. So we're trying to break up about this value area high, right? Here's the intention. Coming up to the open, do we get a close above this? So we get a close above that area. So let's look to see if we get any sellers trapped here. If we do, there's a potential for a long, right? Because on the 15, right, we've got buyers having trapped sellers. We're up at this area, so it's tricky. But if we do get some sellers trapped, I will go long here. Going to the tick chart, I want to see about. Here we go. Right. You know, that's buyers trapped there. Those buyers are trapped. Can we get these sellers trapped? About 286. Delta is negative to start the session. Not a bad area. Okay, can we get a little bit of a retracement here? Let's have a look. More sellers. Point of controls drop down here now. Above these highs, I might try a long. A good area to look for buying. Now, if I get buyers here, I'll buy in. Right, I'm buying in there. I've gone one contract long. Right, you've got buyers trapping. That's it. They've got a little bit of upside here. Let's see if we can get that moving a bit higher. Point of control holding. Just stop underneath the VWAP. Back under that point of control. VWAP underneath. Crucial kind of area. Not a bad area to look for long, you see down here. We've got stops just underneath that VWAP, so it's nice and contained if it goes wrong. Buyers coming in again, giving it another go. And you've got quite a lot of buyers there. 265. I'm going to add another position in long, I'm going to add, with just those sellers getting trapped there. Not in a bad area, you see, you just got this region here. Delta has ticked positive now. Some sellers trying to come in here, trapping those buyers, but the point of control still just holding. VWAP underneath, let's see. On balance volume tricking lower, not really getting any much interest yet. Buyers are pretty slow on the uptake here. Okay. Another attempt by buyers, but not very committal. See, we have got those buyers got trapped by these 5 minute. So let's have a look. That's tricky to know whether we're going to get a little bit more here or whether that's it. Yes. I don't like the way that 5 minutes trapped all those buyers you see before. I don't like that at all. Just have a look on the tick chart, see the way it's behaving.
And more from US President Trump on Truth Social says, I will only lower tariffs if a country agrees to open its market. If not, much higher tariffs. Japan's markets are now open for the first time ever. US businesses will boom. So Trump says, I will only lower tariffs if a country agrees to open its market. If not, much higher tariffs.
Buyers trying to come in a bit here. That's it, just a little bit. Some sellers getting trapped there. Maybe we'll get a move here. I've taken one position off. Taking the second off if we hit that area there. Fair enough. Right, that's reset. Hit reasonable target, couple of positions. So the rationale of buying from that area made sense. You could see here on the hourly chart, that was a nice area to buy from. Let me close these positions off. Coming up to a 5 minute. You see, this is what I don't like about the 5. Do you see it? These buyers trapped here. So that's why I could take profit up at that level, which is also going back up into that value area, you see? So we're still capped by this region. And that was a false break, wasn't it? Buyers, trapping sellers. So, okay, any time to go long, taking it. Oh, okay, so hit just a quick little profit, but it's what we could reasonably expect. Back to watching and waiting. Just run through it, the logic. Drop down to this buy area. And it was here we had buyers trapping sellers against the point of control, and the stop could be placed just underneath the VWAP. Then I did a second position where those buyers came in and trapped these sellers here, right?